Good morning, everybody. I have the first card to show you in my March 2022 online card class, and this is the Shadow Box card. It's the first one we're going to make, and I love these. They're just fun. They set up nice on the desk, and then it folds flat, and you can put it in a card, in an envelope, and send it on its way. So let me show you. I'm going to set this right here. Make sure that it's still in where you can see it. And I'm going to show you what I use for this. So I use the Grassy Grove bundle and really like this. It's got a lot of different stamps to use. It's really nice for a guy card, I think. And then all these dies that go with it. These two right here come from a different set. It comes from the Inspired Thoughts, but it just goes so well. It has these little pieces that you could even add more to the trees if you wanted to give them some 3D dimension. I like that. And I also used the Let's Set Sail, and I wrote, "Hope it's your best day ever." I really like that saying, and I thought it really went well with that, but you can use whatever you have. And then I also use the New Horizons paper, which is just beautiful. There's just so many. This is a double pack here, if you wonder why there's so many, but it's just really beautiful. And for outdoor scenes, it's just gorgeous. I love this one. Just so many layers to it. And then I have this one I'm going to make a card later with. Don't these colors just go together beautifully? Love them. So that's the New Horizons paper pack. And then I also used, I love this color. Mossy Meadow is just so beautiful. So before we get started putting the card together, I'm going to show you how I made this. Whoops. No, I want to put it somewhere where you can still see it. You're going to start with an 8.5 by 11 sheet of cardstock. And if you're making one card, you might as well make two, I think. So let's put this over here. Bring in my paper trimmer. And I'm going to need the arm extended on it. Get it turned around the right way, because we need, I think I'm going to have to move this out of the way. So let's put it right there. There's just so much room on this table. So you want to do it the long way. And your scores that I'm going to be using, I'll give them to you. It will be 1/2. And I usually use this side because it's easier when you're doing the short side of the paper. Just do your 1/2 and then flip it around like this. So then you're going to go to the 5 1/8, 5 1/8, which is right here. It's right before the 5 1/4. So 5 1/8, and you're going to go to 5 3/4. Score it again, and then 10 3/8. So 10 3/8. Of course, this is your 1/8. And this is your 3/8, which is right before the 10 1/2. Oops, let's make sure I get it on there. 10 1/8 and 3/8. Okay, so just score that last one. So then you rotate it this way, and you cut it at 4 1/4. And that gives you 2 cards. So that's much easier than cutting it in half and scoring it twice. So just score it once, cut once. So let's put this out of the way. So what you want to do is you want to take your bone folder, and your bone folder is always nice to have. Mine's been used a lot. And you want to score your score lines. I always like to score them really well so you can see them when you're cutting, or if you're doing something to the card, because sometimes it's a little bit harder to see on the dark cardstock, I think. So burnish them really well. I'm going to put this into the side because we're not going to do 2. We're just going to do 1. So this right here is a 1/2 inch side. So you want the bigger side to cut out your cardboard. So what you want to do is you want to bring in this piece right here, and what you want to do is you want to line it up on the score lines so you have a little bit of hangover on each side. And it doesn't matter, you know, when you put your card together, it's just going to cut that out really nice, and it's going to score fine for you when you're ready to put it together. So just line it up on your score lines and cut that out, and then you are left with this side with this piece, so you don't have to see me bring in the paper cutter or the cut and emboss machine. So it cuts it out for you, and like I said, it just goes over just a tiny little bit on your score lines, which is just fine. So what you want to do is you want to, when you get yours, it'll come in an envelope, a clear envelope like this, so all your pieces will be kept together. I just have a couple extra because, you know, you never know what's going to happen on camera. Something goes wrong and you need to fix it. You have another one right waiting for you. So here are my pieces. And then, isn't this a pretty piece too? I think we'll use this one. And then you'll also have a piece for the back of your card for, that way you have a little place to write a note if you want to. So let's put this to the side, and I'll use the pieces that are in here. So what you want to do is you want to get your pieces, make sure you have all of them. And let's go ahead and attach our designer series paper. So I cut this at 4.5 lengthways and then 4 this way, so that it comes right to the edges of your score line and it doesn't show a bunch. It shows more of your designer series paper when the card is setting up, and it doesn't show those lines. So just line it up so you have the same amount all the way around, because you want to see the most of this paper that you can see. Isn't that pretty? So then you want to take your deers. I love that little baby deer. It's so cute. It's like looking at its mama. Okay, let's put those pieces over here. Put this one here. These up here. And get mommy here. So let's put it right here. So what you need is you need some of your dimensionals. And I suggest using the mini dimensionals if you can find them on your desk. If not, use the pieces that are around the edge because they're smaller. Because their little bodies, they aren't that big. So just cut them, and that way you use all of your pieces of your dimensionals. So I like to use a couple. Oops. Let's put a couple on here. And if you need to cut them for the baby deer, then, you know, just cut it. So let's cut another one. Turn it over. Like I said, if it doesn't fit, you just trim it a little bit. So that one is quite a bit. It's a little bit bigger. So that's why I suggest using the mini dimensionals if you can find them when you're at your craft table. I know I have some. Just putting my hands on them when I need them. So see, that will work. So just find out where you want to put the deer. You don't want it standing in the water. Let's put it right there so it can look up at mom. Let's go ahead and take the liner off of this. Put mom here. So she's looking back. Isn't that pretty? Love it. If you need to adjust it a little bit, you can. You can pull it over. I kind of like it where it's at. Maybe just a little bit. I'll put baby back just a little bit. There we go. Just make sure they're both showing. Yep. So what you want to do is you want to put some tear and tape on the end of this flap right here, and then just peel it off. Let's get our pick tool. Makes it so much easier than using your fingernails all the time. There we go. So if you just lay it flat, pull it back, it'll line up right where you need it to be. And then just press it with your bone folder. And that way it adheres really well. So there you go. Isn't that pretty? So then when you want to put these pieces on, you want to make sure that you don't use a lot of glue because you don't want it coming through because there's a lot of cutouts in here. So if it's easier, so you can see where the cutouts are on here, just put your glue on them, and that way you know that you're not going to put it in the wrong place. And it doesn't take a whole lot for this to stay. I just think it's so pretty. It just adds something to it. So then just lay your other piece on here, find out where it's going to be, and then just add your glue on here. It's so much easier that way. Less chance of it, but you also have to watch that it doesn't go through the pieces on here. So if that happens, if you get a little glue where you don't want it to be, first of all, wipe it off. And then if you have your, I don't have mine. If you have the embossing buddy, you can always tap it on here and it'll take the tackiness off of your paper, which is really nice. Usually I have mine sitting on the desk, but I must have used it over at my embossing station and then forgot to bring it back. But it just, you know, it adds. Isn't that pretty? So then you want, what I did for this piece here, you notice that it's a different color. So what you want to do is you want to bring in your blending brushes. And this is my green. I dedicate this to green, all the different greens. And then you just load it up with some Old Olive, and then you just blend it, and that way it's a really light, subtle shade, whereas if you would use a piece of Old Olive cardstock, you can't get the shading that you want to with the blending brushes. Like if you want to add some to the top, you know, you want it to be a little bit darker in spots, you can do that, and then you can just layer the colors. I just think it's so pretty like that. So let's put the blending brush away. And then I come in with my Hope It's Your Best Day Ever. And I like to use a darker color that still goes with these colors. And this is Early Espresso. So then you just want to ink it up and make sure that you get your words on there. And that one, cut it off a little bit. So if that happens, you have two sides to your paper. It's always good. You just come back in and you just add some more Old Olive. You know, you can usually fix your mistakes, and it's not really a mistake. It's just a new chance to try the other side. So what you want to do is you want to ink it up. There we go. That's better. And it gives you more room on that side over here where you need it. So that works well. That worked out good. So just put a little bit of glue on here. Bring this out of the way. And you just want to add it to the front. So pretty. You could do this when you have your card open, but it doesn't matter. You can stamp on it and then add it to the back. And what I did is I used the trees from the Grassy Grove, and I stamp it, ink it up with the Old Olive. And then if you get a little on the tree limbs, just come in with your Q-tip and take the color off. Then you want to come in with your Early Espresso marker and just bring a little bit of the brown down through the center. Hop on it, and then just stamp on the side here. It's a really pretty tree. You could do more than two if you wanted to, but I thought I would just leave it like that. So then you want to come in, it's your time to be remembered, to feel appreciated, and to know you are celebrated. So I want to do that in the early espresso. So you just ink it up, stamp. It's a really pretty font, isn't it? I like it. So then you just add some of your glue, and the least amount of glue that you can use is the best, because it will hold this for you. You know it's not going to go anywhere. So just center it on the back of your card and press it down. If you wanted to add more to it, you could, but this way you have a little bit of room to write a note. So when I did my first sample, I actually embossed this front piece, but when I was doing it for the class, it kind of makes the lines, the score lines, hard to see, so I changed it and just did it plain. But if you wanted to add an embossing folder to this, you could. This is our bark 3D embossing folder, but it made it kind of hard to see where the score lines were, and I didn't want it to be hard for you to put this card together. But if you want to try it at home, try embossing this. It just adds a different feel to it, I think. So try that out. It's the 3D bark embossing folder. Let me know what you think. If you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel, go ahead and hit the subscribe button that's below. And if you have any questions, just let me know. Thanks. Bye-bye.